if I'm not for myself, who will be for me?
As Hillel said, right.
And if I'm only for myself, then I'm a big jerk. But I'm paraphrasing. But
so
I have to be for myself too, and say what was in my mind, and what I meant, and what I did. And I can't let other people define me and project their stuff onto me. And now they're just changing the words of what I said totally. It's so painful. But every day on Twitter, Jews are called actual apes and actual pigs, and nobody says a damn thing about it. I didn't say black people look like apes. Come on. I didn't do that. I can see how it was misconstrued, and that's why I'm trying to rectify that, because I'm not that person. I never was, and I never will be. I never will be that person. And I'm just explaining. I was talking about her and the Obama administration and, the things that they did that I feel are anti-Jew, and I have to. And I do. And I regretted it before I lost everything. And I said to God, I am willing to accept whatever consequences this brings, because I know I've done wrong. I'm willing to accept what the consequences are, and I do, and I have.
Well, Roseanne, I know
they don't ever stop.
Okay.
They don't accept my apology or explanation.
But you know what?
And it's a hate. I've made myself a hate magnet, and as a Jew, it's just horrible. It's horrible.
Anyway, Roseanne recently broke down to her friend, Rabbi Shmuley. He's got a podcast. And she broke down and said she did not know that Valerie Jarrett was black. Well, just take a look and listen, and then we'll discuss.
I didn't mean what they think I meant, and that's what's so painful. But I have to face that I definitely feel remorse. And I never would have wittingly called any black person say they are a monkey. I never would do that. And I didn't do that. And I have loved ones who are African American. I just can't stand it. I horribly regret it. Are you kidding? I've lost everything. And I regretted it before I lost everything. And I said to God, I am willing to accept whatever consequences this brings, because I know I've done wrong.
Wah, wah, wah. Didn't she call a black person a gorilla years ago?
Well, yeah.
Oh, you all remember that? Then you are my people. Look, Roseanne. You get yourself one of those podcasts like everybody else, and so people want to listen to you and hear what you have to say, then they can tune in, but otherwise, you're not coming back to TV. You're not.
You would be amazed in the 4 conversations that Roseanne and I had since everything transpired, how much the Iran deal has come up. Now, those of you who are part of the Jewish community may understand it. Those of you who are part of the Jewish community may not understand it. So I'm going to say this very briefly. The Iran deal was a defining moment in modern American politics. It was a defining moment in the Jewish community. You lost a lot of friends fighting the Iran deal. I lost a lot of friends. I have friends who I've known for 30 years who are very high-ranking in American politics, with whom I have a frayed relationship, because the Iran deal represented a government speaking openly about annihilating the Jewish people, who ended up being rewarded with $150 billion in unfrozen assets. By the way, when people say that America didn't give Iran $150 billion because it was their money, that is not true. The money belonged to the Iranian people, not the Iranian mullahs.
Right, exactly.
It was stolen by the mullahs. They are utterly corrupt. They steal the money, and they use it to foment terrorism around the world. But what broke our hearts was...
The people don't even have drinking water.
Okay, so you and I and many others had a political policy disagreement, vehement, passionate, with Valerie Jarrett or Samantha Power or John Kerry or Barack Obama on the
Susan
Iran deal.
Rice.
And Susan Rice, of course.
And Hillary Clinton.
Right. And it was never personal. It was political, but more than political. It was about values. Because I remember saying to a very...
Well, it's very personal to them, too, and you look at, like, okay, you're a racist then. You know, I mean, they couldn't discuss, debate, or argue that that deal was done in secret without Congress's approval. So obviously they knew...
Wait, it was an arms control
They
treaty that
knew
was never voted on by the
they
Senate.
knew that any discussion would, you know, like I said in my speech in Israel, the worst enemy of a fascist is discussion, debate, and compromise.
I'm trying to talk about Iran. I'm trying to talk about Valerie Jarrett wrote the Iran deal.
I know, but you've told me this 300 times. Do you know that if...
That's what my tweet was about.
I know, you've explained this literally 300 times.
I thought the bitch was white. God damn it! I thought the bitch was white.
How did you feel about this when she
Roseanne
said...
who?
Story has really taken off and is not going anywhere. Roseanne is actually going to be sitting with Sean Hannity, I believe, tomorrow to give her first television interview since this all happened. What do you hope she says?
Less is more.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah. Because she has apologized. She apologized publicly. Did she apologize to you?
For the profane video? I think it might have been. Look, as I said, I think there's just so many issues
Yeah.
that are more important. I won't be watching. I hope you all won't be watching either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't, and you had this crazy video this week. What was
Oh, I was so mad. Well, I was filming this thing to, my real apology, which followed it. But everybody was like, well, you're not addressing this correctly. And so I just lost it, and everybody started laughing. So I go, put it up there.
All right.
Because it was a joke.
Gallery, you're kidding.
No, but everybody deserves to be joked about.
Here's what I want to get to the
Anybody
bottom.
who's in any kind of position of power deserves to have a joke about them. And if they
Right.
can't laugh at themselves, then that means something. If you can't laugh at yourself first before you start laughing at everybody else, that means
Isn't
something.
that how you started your career? By
Yeah.
domestic goddess?
Yeah.
And you poke a lot of fun at yourself?
I tell more jokes about myself than I do anybody else. So that is a tweet about asking for accountability from the previous administration about the Iran deal, which Valerie Jarrett is the author of. And that was what was in my head.
Okay.
And when I ran for president in 2012, I ran as the representative of the Black Caucus of the Green Party. And they trusted me so much Black people chose me. And I was humbled by that. And I ran on an anti-racist, Clinton's drug wars and what that means, that 1 in every 4 African-American males are in prison for pot and lesser. I mean, it's just, I'm very informed. I'm not, I've always been political. My comedy is political. I just have to say this. If people think, I'm saying it to them, if you really think that at the height of my power and my fame, I would go, Black people look like, it's just, I wouldn't do, I'm not stupid. And that's what they keep selling. And now they don't even, after they misquoted the tweet for weeks, now they don't even include it, and they just go, Roseanne's racist tweet. And they just keep shoving it down everybody's throat. I love all people, let's say that. I love everybody. I include everybody in my circle. I put my money where my mouth is because I'm not a racist. And I decided that this was going to move me to do my own interviews on my own YouTube channel. And on there, I'm doing serious subjects and talking to interesting people who I don't 100% agree with. But we find common ground. And I think that's what America needs, and that's what I was trying to do on my show.
So Roseanne did a podcast with me where she sobbed her eyes out, cried and hyperventilated. It was one of the most difficult interviews I've ever done because she was so emotional and so anguished. And even after that, and going through the 4 stages of repentance, acknowledging you made a mistake, publicly confessing it, reaching out to the aggrieved party, which she did with Valerie Jarrett, and finally, undertaking concrete steps, giving, in this case, donations to African-American youth charities, she still was not forgiven. So the question here is forgiveness dead in America?
Roseanne didn't reach out to Valerie personally. She has not done that to this day. And
He said she did.
she has not.
Well,
Because we did have Valerie on, and I know Valerie pretty well, and I spoke to Valerie. She has not reached out to her directly.
Because I was really concerned about Roseanne, and you know, I don't want someone to end up killing themselves or anything.
Of course not.
Yeah, so
I can imagine that when you're judged for one thing and the rest of you is dismissed.
Well, what was, you know, I'd been talking about the Iran deal for a long, long time, weeks. And just to take one, I think it was 15 characters. But I want to get to the good part, and I want to say this tonight. It was so hard. I thought I was going to die. And it physically defeated me, and I was just leveled. And still, it's been 2 months or something, maybe 3 months, I don't know. But I still can't, I feel like I've been psychically attacked. And, you know, I have trouble staying awake. You know, I'm went into a really, really bad place. And it's been so depressing and terrible, like a death, like losing my whole family, the family I've known for decades. And I just can't, my son's here tonight and he knows, my family knows, and it was just so devastating. And trying to correct it the whole time, saying, no, I meant this. And they said, you can't say that until you sign this. And I mean, it was torture.
I think there are big pieces of our family that ended up on that show. I think there was a lot of Roseanne's style of parenting on that show. And for me, still, you know, center is the relationship between the two sisters.
I am going to do exactly what you would do. You would never let a man tell you how to run your life. I want somebody who'll love and support me no matter what, just like Dan does for you.
Are you insane? Do you know how many years I had to put into Dan? You think he came out of a box like that?
She was a loving sister, cared for me, felt fortunate to have her growing up. When I was sick, she carried me home, half a mile, cared for me, and then had magical solutions for me. Sit on the stairs, I'll take this pencil and I'll rub the eraser on your knee and you'll get all better. She was really a good big sister.
That the work of an artist over 30 years, they think that we just pull that out of their ass and that they can copy it, you know. Without the artist, they can copy it.
You mean your show?
I do.
Yeah.
And it is, you know, all the stuff I suffered in my life I put into that show. That show is about my family, my children. And it's just like, wow, it's so huge. It's so huge. It's beyond entitled. But
what is their plan? And how are they able to do that? Did you let them?
Yeah, I signed off. They asked me to.
Why'd you sign off?
because I felt like I would be a huge hypocrite to have talked 30 years or more in my life about labor rights and the rights of working people if I took away those 200 people's jobs. So that's why I did it. I wanted them to work. I know how they had planned on another season, and they probably had already spent the money.
Was there any consideration of redemption? Was there any path where they could allow you to apologize or do something that would endear yourself to the people where they would accept your apology?
I offered that. I said, let me go on all your ABC shows and explain my tweet and how it was a political and not a racial tweet. And, that was denied me. It's like you can't say anything till you sign off.
You can't say anything until you sign off. So they wanted you to sign off the rights, and then they would have you do whatever you wanted to do, go on their interview shows.
No, they didn't guarantee that.
They didn't guarantee that. So they just wanted you to sign off, and they offered you nothing in return.
They offered me some money.
But the idea was just to be able to redo the show.
Yeah, to take all those years of my ideas and how I thought of 20 years of those situations to come back. It took me 20 years to figure out how would these characters, where would they be now? And I did that by living among regular and normal people for 20 years. I never lived behind, racially segregated gates like other stars.
What do you think about them doing it without you? I mean, how fucking weird is that?
It is weird. I'm like, oh, I get it. They're sending me a subtle message to OD on opioids. That's how.
Is that what you think?
Yeah, that's some of it. Mind control stuff, yeah.
So you think that they want you to kill yourself?
Well, I don't know why they would do what they did. Let's just put it that way. It doesn't make any sense.
I just think they're being completely inconsiderate and they don't care about you.
No, they don't. And they so belittled my contribution to the show, too. It just, was shocking. That was the most painful part of the whole thing.
Well, one of the things that I read was that you hadn't considered the more than 100 people that work on the show when you did what you did. And I'm like, that's a ridiculous statement.
I didn't cancel the show.
Well, not only did you not cancel the show, you were on Ambien drunk tweeting. The idea that you did this was some sort of a deliberate ploy to get the show canceled. Or the idea that there was any justification that your show should be canceled at all. Like, what, you can't just say something that you didn't want to come out that way and apologize for it. They
and
don't
I
know
did
who
apologize.
You are.
I apologized.
You did apologize, but
I
they don't know who you are.
apologized for 3 months. No.
Yeah, they don't know who you are.
No, they
work
tried
with
to
you
wipe me off the map of the culture.
because people are scared to be connected with anybody who's a target.
Yeah.
And they acted like cowards.
I wouldn't have. I mean, if it were my friend, definitely I would have. Of years, of 2 decades or more, I would have said something. But that's just me. And I definitely, one thing I would never have done is stab somebody in the rush to condemn somebody who, was my biggest advocate.
Well, there was a lot of that.
And sometimes an only advocate.
There was a lot of that. I saw a lot of that.
I'm me, and I got a lot of opinions that go left and a lot of opinions that go right, like most Americans.
Exactly.
None of us are really, we're not going to just parrot the party line.
Yeah.
We're thinkers.
Yes, exactly. And that's what you've done all the time that I've known about you and didn't know you. That's what you've always done. And so people should embrace that as opposed to saying, well, she supports Trump and he does. That's still her right, And if you disagree with it, vote the other way.
Yeah.
But, don't try to destroy people or destroy their careers because you disagree with their political opinion and then try to make it a race issue.
That's what they did.
No. We can't.
That's
we
exactly
can't have
what
that
no,
because
we
there
can't.
are people out there with legitimate race issues, racism going on, who really need help, as opposed to using it for political, gain.
No, everyone else in Hollywood can say horrible shit.
But one Trump supporter in a family of Hillary supporters is one too many.
It's more, it's not even the Roseanne character, it's you. You're on Twitter talking about Trump and all this shit. You then have the #1 show on TV. Trump called you to congratulate you. That's when we all, I just want you to know, I had private conversations with people. We go, oh no, they're coming for her. No, Trump called you.
I know.
So we knew something bad was going to happen. They had to comb through a tweet fucking 6 years ago to get you and misinterpret this one.
Then it came, it was 40 minutes later, in the fastest move they've ever made in their lives on any net. I can't believe it. It takes them a year to get paper towels in the bathroom. But Disney, in 40 minutes, decided to fire me from my own creation, my life's work, take it from me, and crap on my name, on my good name as a Jew, and call me a racist. And so I signed away my rights, and then I walked with God for 6 months.
And I was chilling. It was chilling what I saw there. I sat next to that reporter. I read about persecution, but you were persecuted right there by that reporter. Yeah. That reporter was sitting next to me, and he was listening to you explain for 20 minutes this tweet story and explain and the whole thing. And he was asking me to translate what you were saying. He was listening, he was asking me to translate, and then he got up at the end and he basically demanded, like a Spanish inquisitor, confess your crimes, you racist, which is basically what he said. And I had never in my life seen such injustice. Yeah. And that's what I think he did to you. Which paper was he from?
I think that there really is an Inquisition-like character to everything they're saying to me, and that's why I say I was BDS by ABC. They gave me no chance to even explain my tweet. They prevented me from doing that. They said, you can't speak for yourself until you sign all of your rights away. And I said, when I sign my rights away, will you say I'm not a racist, that you know I'm not a racist? And they said yes. So I signed, and the very next day, they were all over the news calling me a racist. So it is an inquisition, and it was a lynching. It was
and he wrote a story afterwards where he lied about what you said, and he lied about what you said to them. If you can see it.
What did he say? What was the lie?
He said you called him a rasha. You called him an evildoer. He said this. This is the headline in Walla News that he said a number of things that were just pure mistranslations. And I wanted to just come back and tell you, how could anybody see your life, see what you've done, see your genius, and not think you are amazing? And you, unlike everybody else in Hollywood, you stand up, and everybody in this room loves you and what you've done. And how can somebody not see that, your life, and get up at the end and have such a mental illness and such evil in him that he would go and he would say, I demand a confession from you right now at the end of that.
Thank you. There's a lot of people like that.
The city of Florence, and then going all over Italy, Venice too, the history of it, and how many artists have the same pain to bring anything forward out of themselves. It all has to come out of you. And then when I was in France and go to the Louvre and actually see the Mona Lisa, that was something that totally, it was so incredible because, you know, I never had access to anything like that before I had money. And to see the Mona Lisa with, like, you know, 15 rows of people of all colors, all nations, every type of person with video cameras standing in front of this picture and videotaping like as if she were actually going to maybe move or speak. It was just incredible
I had
to
never
think
seen
about.
that either. I was in Florence this summer, and same thing. You'd see people with video cameras in these marvelous, extraordinary cathedrals, and there'd be all kinds of magnificent work on the ceiling, and people running around with video cameras. The same thing, just and just staring there. And
I totally connected with Mona Lisa because I was like looking at it and thinking how it speaks to everybody on Earth. It's like this marker of the time where it came from and the artist who made it. But then I was having that extra layer of thinking that it was a self-portrait and a joke. And I sort of thought that I saw that and that it was telling me about sometimes your jokes belong to the people of the future and not the people who are here now.